Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Death Doula. I am your host, Hope, and I kind of just want to go back and tell you a little bit about what's happened to me recently. I've been kind of MIA from business, YouTube, all that, and that's honestly because I kind of had the most amazing experience recently. I went to Alua Authors Going with Grace's Death Doula retreat. And let me just tell you, that was quite honestly the most life changing experience I think I've ever had. So thank you, Alua, for having that. It not only just gave me new life and sense of purpose in Death Doula world, but also just it really honestly opened me up as a person, and also just all the people that I met, like all the connections that I met was truly amazing. I've now have lifelong friends, and I've been opened up spiritually and mentally, and just I can't even begin to tell you guys like how amazing this experience was. Also to just dive in deep about death with people who don't shy away from death. And it's just, oh, again, I'm just so excited, and I'm so like revitalized and rejuvenated from this experience. Thank you to the universe, to Alua, to all my friends, to everything. Just I just want to give out that like positive energy. And I've also seen a return on that positive energy. Like if you go to my Instagram, like I have more followers, and like my YouTube has a couple more followers, and it's just like the universe is finally giving back to like through death, which is so weird and so cool, and I love it. And I just want to spread the word of education and death to everybody. And yeah, so thank you. Now that I've had this long preamble, let's get into what I really want to talk about. And another thing that happened recently was I went to theaters yesterday, and I actually had an episode planned out already that I was going to talk about when I got back from my retreat. But after I went to the theaters and saw The Long Walk yesterday, I was like, nope, I'm going to talk about this now. It's happening. So spoilers if you haven't seen it. If you have, awesome. Or if you haven't seen it, just want to hear me rant about it, cool. I really want to dive deep into this because, again, I don't know if it was from the retreat, or I don't know if it's just because I was open, or if it was that good of a movie or what. I was like sobbing the whole time in theaters over this fucking film. Um, I know it's a Stephen King novel. I honestly, I haven't read the novel, but I know it's a really good story, and I've been looking forward to this film for a while. I mean, not gonna lie, part of it is because Mark Hamill's my man, and he plays like the major big baddie in this. But just also just the story of it is just really intriguing. Of it's like this dystopian future after a war, and the only way to like revitalize people and get people back to what they want is this thing called The Long Walk. Now, I don't know if you've seen trailers or anything for this, but it kind of seems a lot more like action packed than what it really is. And I was kind of hesitant because I was like, oh, maybe, but again, that's a trailer. You can only judge so much from a trailer. But the long walk is actually so much just heart to heart and talking and just figuring things out. And I truly do actually love movies like that, where it's more mental than just like, oh, beat 'em up, action pack, blah blah blah. And that again, that's what we got, and it was fantastic. Um, a reason why I wanted to break this down as a death doula in Let's Talk Death Doula was a lot of it was just there, it's death around every corner, and it kind of does play out the, I guess, the stereotype and stigma that no one really thinks about death. Everyone thinks that they're invincible until it's in your face. And that's something that we shouldn't do. We should think about death on the forefront every day of our lives. It doesn't have to be a miserable thing, but we should be accepting of it and know of it, because otherwise, if you don't think about it and then it comes up out of nowhere, you're shit out of luck, honestly. We shouldn't be scared of it. We shouldn't be backing away from it. It's a part of life. It's a part of everyone's life. It's the great uniter of everybody, in my opinion. We should be able to talk about it more. Like it should be like another conversation like the weather, just everyone's like, oh, how's the weather today? And it's like, oh, well, we should be able to talk about death as casually, maybe not every day like that, but just as casually. And yeah, so at first it's one boy from every state, basically, I think, because there's like 50 of them. And they're like, oh, there's and the main character, Garrity, he's from like the state that they're in. So he's like, oh, he got the home field advantage. It's like, well, there's no real home field advantage for this. Anyways, there's one boy from each state. There's 50 of them, and they do this thing, and it's the long walk, and it's you'll walk till you drop, and they say you get your ticket, after 3 warnings, and if you go past that warning, you get your ticket. And at first, I kind of thought, well, oh, maybe they just think they're like escorted off, and they lose their chance at winning the money and their one wish. And it's like, okay, well, maybe, and then like there's a twist, and they realize, but no, they understand that it's basically walk or die. And again, going into this, it's like they put it out of their heads. Like when you start, it's a 1 in 50 shot of you winning this or you die. And I hate that they basically like I get that it's high stakes and they maybe don't want to think about, oh, they're gonna die, I'm gonna die, because that'll like fuck you up going into this. But at the same time, they're so ignorant of the consequences that they don't realize, yeah, you're gonna die up until the very first kill. And then that's when the first boy drops out and he is shot. That's when they start to realize this is a real thing. This is so real. And then eventually throughout, they're starting to talk with each other and things happen, and more and more drop off, but you see also them forming relationships with each other. And one of them was like, I'd rather have a short friendship than like a shit friendship, and it's true. Like there is such thing as like trauma bonding and things like that. And you see these boys just come together and like help each other along the way, which is a very beautiful thing. And I think that also represents what we should do as a community when someone is facing death. We should come together as a community and face the death and help each other. And that's partially what a death doula does. There's the medical team, there's the doctors, there's the nurses, there might be hospice care and everything. And that's the medical side. That's like the facts and figures and science of it all. But a death doula can bring in the rest of the community to help them with like the spiritual side or the psychological side of it all, and just help fill in the gaps, whether it's for the caretaker or whether it's for the client who's actually dying themselves or just the community surrounding them. And that's the beauty of it. Now, what really got me sobbing in the theaters was also just, I see these babies. They are babies. They're kids. They're boys. They're not like grown adults. They're supposed to be like late teens, early 20s. So they're still just babies. And I see them, each of them facing their own mortality. And literally, I was just, as I'm like sobbing in the theater, I just kept thinking, I just want to run up and hug that baby. Because there's certain things of as like the No One Dies Alone Act where there's volunteers or doulas or something who go in and sit with the person who is dying, and they might not have any friends or family, so they go in and they sit vigil with them until they pass, so they're not alone in those last moments. And that's what I kept thinking of, is each of these babies, like, they couldn't have their friends stop, that the friends that they made on this long walk, they couldn't have them stop as they like died, because then they would die. It's like a chain of events. And there was one part where there was two of the four musketeers, and one of them was like, yeah, this is it. And he was on his first warning, then the second warning, and he just was like dropped dead. Not, he wasn't dead yet, but he just kind of like just dropped on the ground, and what the other musketeer went up and was like holding him, and I was like, ugh, that gutted me, because he's like, I could have done more, I could have stayed with him, but it's like, you would have died too if you had stayed. So it's a very tricky situation in that respect, because they couldn't be there for their friends, and that's an awful feeling to have. And that's why I just kept saying, I wish I could run up and hug each one of those babies and have been there with them the whole time. Yeah, it just and I think as it goes along, each one of them faces their mortality and what death really is, and they reflect back on who's who and what's what, and what death really is, and is this worth the prize? Is this worth everything, and you start to see like the true human nature of these boys, the 5 stages of grief, so to say. And everyone thinks like the 5 stages of grief is for everybody. Like, no, it's for the person who is actively dying. The what was it, like denial, anger, forgiveness, regret, acceptance, whatever the 5 stages are. And you kind of see it happening in these boys. It starts with denial, and then they're angry at each other, they like pick fights with each other, and then it's bargaining. When they're at their deathbeds, basically just bargaining for another chance at life, or if they like try and run off from this competition, they're like, they don't want to die. And we get to the end, towards the end, when it's kind of like the last few, you start to see the acceptance, because there are so few of them, and they know this is the end. There can only be one of us, and some of them just know that they can't continue, so they do accept. And some of them just give up. They're like, I accept this, and they just will turn around and kind of like sit down, or just take the loss, so to say. And it's pretty powerful to see. Also, just to see these young actors doing these roles is truly amazing. Like, the cast was fantastic. The whole cast was fantastic. But I think what the biggest part of what got me was towards the end, when the two main characters, Ray and Pete, who were like the best buds from the beginning, they finally like talk about their lives. They talk about their past and their wishes and what they want from the money, and their wish that they get. And it's just a breakdown of human to human, and it's such a beautiful thing. And they do talk about death. And he's saying, the closer I get to this, I understand, everyone was so scared at first, and we don't want this, but like you were saying before, it's the moments, the next moment, and how they treasured these moments together throughout this walk. And he's like, if I'm gonna go out, I want to choose how I go out, and I want to spend the next moment how I want to spend that moment. Because even though he knows it's right around the corner. He's still choosing to still make life his. And I think that's how we should all be. I mean, obviously there's other circumstances, like if it's a sudden tragic death, we can't like prep or plan, you know. But if it's like if it's something we can foresee, like a cancer or an illness or something, like we can foresee it, we can still take charge of it, we can still own it, you know. It's not like we have to just give up life at all. And I think that was the beautiful thing. He's saying, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take my moments and make them mine. And that's what we should do, you know, whether it is in the face of death or if it's just in life in and of itself in general. Just take hold of that life and make it yours, make it count, make that moment yours. And it doesn't, and when I say make it count, I don't mean like, oh, I gotta do something big and grand and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what a lot of people think. But if you talk to people like on their deathbed, their regrets aren't, oh, I should have climbed that mountain, or I should have like taken that promotion. It's usually like, I should have stopped and sat on the beach one last time, or I should have made up with my brother, or, you know, it's simple things like that. And that's how you should take hold of life and live it. It's the small moments. And again, in the long walk, that's all they had. Pete, he kept saying, I'm not looking at the end, because there is no end. I'm looking at the moments and getting to that next moment. That's what got me, man. Like the fact that they took back their moments. Even though this whole thing was set up against them, it's set up against the country, it's set up against these boys, they took back their moments by building that bond with each other, by building that trust within each other, and then accepting their fates, but still living despite that. And I'm not going to go into the ending or anything, because I don't want to like completely, and I don't think I like really spoiled anything, because I do want you to go out and see this movie because it's amazing. But yeah, it's beautiful. It really just is beautiful. And like I said, I don't know, maybe it's because I've been from the retreat, I like opened up like spiritually, and with the retreat, me and my roommate kept joking like, oh, this is the only place you can like die 5 times and then go to dinner after, you know. It made me raw, so maybe that's why I kept like sobbing in the movie theater. I don't know. But it does hit you. It's great actors, great story, great premise, just all around fantastic movie. Go see it. And I hope it also gives you guys another perspective on death. And, you know, we shouldn't fear it. It's, like I said, it's what unites us all. It's the great uniter. It happens to everything and everyone, from plants to animals to us to, you know, it's a continuous thing. It's the circle of life. So that's my long rant for The Long Walk. In theaters now. I don't know when you're going to watch this video, but I saw it in theaters just yesterday when it came out this weekend. And yeah, so go watch it, whether it's in the theaters or streaming, or you buy it or pirate, whatever you do. I don't know. Just go see it. I recommend it. And I also recommend just thinking about death a little more. And you can also do that, self-plug here, you can also do that by checking out more videos on my YouTube. You can go to my Instagram or TikTok, where I'll have like little short videos of things, or you can join our Discord. We have a Discord. Everything's gonna be under Mind Brain Mortality, but I'll have links below. And yeah, and I'm just very pumped. I'm very excited. Things are looking up, guys, and I'm very hopeful and excited to open up this world to you and have this new world opened up to me. And yeah, so like I said, links below. Check it out, the movie. Check me out. Help like, comment, subscribe. this video and all my other stuff. And I would just want to bring death education to the world, one person at a time, whoever will listen to me. So thank you if you have been listening to me. Thank you if you're a new follower. Thank you if you're a new listener. Thank you to the universe. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. I don't know what I'm gonna do because obviously, like I said, I had something planned and then it changed course. So either way, we'll see you next time, and bye.